Our film starts with a voiceover explaining the history of a book called the Necronomicon, and a demon called Belial and how it disappeared. We then see a guy in a white suit head into a home with a bag. As he goes up the steps, we hear whispering, and then we see that he has a bunch of women tied up in a room. He compliments them while teasing them. He then offers them some roadkill, but then notices that one of the girls is missing. He calls for the girl named Roxy while panicking, and we see she gnawed her foot off to get free. He's then impaled while the girls are freed and they escape the house. They panic, trying to start the car, but something takes one of the girls. The hammer peels off, and we see the body of one of the girls falls, with a guy eating her heart. Next, we're in a bus station. A girl is waiting by herself. She heads to a payphone before she's approached by two weirdos. She panics, saying she's waiting for someone, but she's eventually surrounded by a bunch of guys. Another girl shows up named Leslie, and we find out it's the other girl's sister. Leslie makes short work of the guys, who do the stereotypical attack one at a time, and the last thing we see is a blood splatter after a hissing noise, implying she fed on one of them. Now we're at the nightclub with a guy with his cousin. Yes, I said these two are cousins. The one named Jeff is acting like a rapper and using the name Doughboy. He apparently believes acting like a rapper will get him more women, but as his cousin reminds him, women don't like being called bitches and hoes very much. Leslie then arrives and introduces the woman at the door, Bridget, to her sister, who we now learn is Ashley. The guy clearly has a thing for Ashley. We then find out that the freed girls now own and live in the nightclub together, and Leslie's bringing Ashley into the business. While talking to Ashley, Leslie notices cuts on her wrists, and we then get a backstory about them coming from an abusive home, and Ashley was there because their dad just died. After she leaves Ashley in the room, Leslie gets reprimanded by one of the girls for not telling her something. We then get a flashback of Leslie meeting the creepy guy from the beginning of the film and him biting her. Back with Ashley, she has flashbacks where we find out her dad died of a heart attack while abusing her. She then looks around the room and can't find a mirror, but does find bloody clothes and a first aid kit. Back with Doughboy and his cousin, the bartender pulls a gun on him for calling her a bitch, and he's outed as having a fake ID. Ashley heads to the bar, and her and Jeff's cousin, who we now know is Jim, have an awkward conversation about having never been to a rave before, and then she walks off. She ends up getting approached by another aggressive guy. Jim attempts to help her, but gets knocked down, and the blonde owner super kicks the guy, then threatens him with a sword. We learn the blonde is named Lean, and she lets Ashley take care of Jim while Bridget takes the aggressive guy. Bridget takes the guy to the back and then shows up in her bra and panties to seduce him. Back with Ashley, she tells Jim how no guy has ever stuck up for her before. Because his nose is bleeding, she heads to the back to find the first aid kit. As she leaves, Leslie gives Jim the protective big sister talk. When Ashley gets to the back, she sees Bridget with the aggressive guy and watches as she fangs out and bites him in the manhood. She freaks out and runs, and then we get the scene of the film of Bridget catwalking in her underwear and boots trying to sniff out Ashley. As Ashley heads to the bar to find Leslie, she is instead met with Bridget, who asks to talk to her, but instead she uses Jim as a distraction and tells him they need to run. They end up in the bathroom where Ashley tries to tell Jim that Bridget was a vampire, and poor Jim thinks she's crazy. It doesn't help that the guy that she alleges is dead shows up in the bathroom with them. Jim takes off disgusted. In the DJ booth, Doughboy is being seduced by the DJ, but is nervous and keeps asking questions about things. We didn't see the DJ fang out, but before she can bite him, Jim shows up at the door. Jim explains the vampire thing, which Doughboy thinks is hot. Jim gets the keys and tells Jeff to find a ride home. The DJ leaves Jeff in the booth and heads after him. Outside, a transvestite threatens Lean that she knows what's going on, but before it goes anywhere, Bridget shows up and whispers something to her, probably about Ashley freaking out, and Lean goes looking for her, followed by another flashback of when the girls were captive, and she attempts to escape but was instead turned, but only if she did something for him. She eventually finds Ashley, who is trying to leave. As they're talking, Ashley sees that Lean doesn't have a reflection. Lean tries to explain what's going on, but Ashley pulls out a cross and then runs off, but is cut off at every exit by one of the girls. They corner her at the DJ booth, but she ends up falling off a balcony, but they save her doing some Cirque du Soleil stuff. Leslie shows up and tells her that they should have a talk. Outside, Jim is off talking to himself, heading to the car, when a bat flies overhead. He witnesses the bat turn into a guy, and as he realizes Ashley wasn't crazy, he gets knocked out. Back in the club, Ashley wakes up freaking out. Leslie explains that they aren't vampires, they're Thralls, which are basically low-rent vampires who drink blood but can't do any of the cool stuff and don't kill. We then get flashbacks of Lean showing the girls the Necronomicon, where they learned what they were and that if they did a ritual in the winter solstice, they would become full vampires and kill their captor, whose name was Jones. Ashley instantly forgives them, but they end up getting called back to the dance floor as a fight broke out, locking Ashley in the room to protect her. At the front door, Jones has a run-in with the very determined transvestite who has been waiting outside the entire night and rips his head off before walking in. As the girls argue about who has the book, we see Ashley has it in the room and is trying to read it. In the DJ booth, Roxy is doing a horrible job of pretending to enjoy Jeff's advances, but then takes off her top where 2 leeches come out of her breast and drain him. Side note, if she can do that, then what vampire powers does she not have exactly? Ashley eventually translates the book and realizes the thing the girls are trying to do doesn't turn them into vampires, but instead brings a demon back to life and enslaves everyone. Jones then shows up and stops the party and kills the guy from earlier. The bartender Buzz pulls her gun on him, which Lean takes from her, then double-crosses everyone and shoots her, revealing her and Jones were together on the plan. Back with Jim, he is having a dream about the girl seducing him, but wakes up to Jones' henchman pretty much making out with his neck, pretending he's a vampire. Jim notices the guy has a sharp object coming from his chest, and that he probably should be dead, and runs off, with the henchman whose name is Rennie in tow until Rennie is hit by a truck. Jim then heads back to the club, where he sneaks in through a vent as the doors are locked. At the club, Jones takes the CD full of psychic energy, which I didn't know was a format CDs took, but I mean Sony experimented a lot back then. Lean and Jones then do the Bond villain thing, explaining how they set up the girls to think they escaped. Lean tells Jones that the book is back with Ashley, and when Jones learns about Ashley, decides to go get it himself in a pervy way. Jones gets super handsy with Ashley, trying to play on her daddy issues, but she attacks him with a cross, which distracts him long enough for Jim to fall from the ceiling. Jim and Ashley run off into the main club. And instead of killing Ashley right away, Lean allows her to basically expose what the ritual was. Then when she gets done telling everyone everything is when Rennie stabs her. Jones says it's demon time. No, seriously, that's in the script. And they launch the demon resurrection program on their computer. Back with the girls, Jim tries to talk them into turning her, which they say they don't have the power to do. He says just try or she's going to die anyway, so Leslie does the vampire blood feeding thing. As Jones is doing the ritual, which makes a Nintendo Metroid monster appear, Roxy attacks Lean. The other girls come up with the idea that since they aren't full vampires, maybe it takes 2 of them to create a whole one, so Bridget shares her blood as well with Ashley. Roxy and Lean end up fighting, resulting in Roxy getting impaled on a chair. She then throws a metal spike into the psychic energy computer, which makes the Nintendo monster go away into the sky before dying. Lean tries to explain to Jones what happened, and Jones tells Rennie he can have her. She goes full on nag, and he confirms he just used her for his needs. She kicks Rennie and runs off, and when he catches up, accidentally impales him and herself with the spike in his chest. Jones goes to threaten the girls just to notice Ashley is missing. Ashley flies in, showing she's a vampire now, as Thralls can't fly. This leads to a Charlie's Angel style flight minus the Destiny's Child music. Jones then turns into a bat, goes after all of them, but is then tricked into being impaled by a sword when Ashley taunts him. Jones then tries to negotiate with the rest of the girls a business deal, but Ashley just carves him up with the sword. The film ends with Ashley, Bridget, and Leslie happily leaving, talking about starting a new club, completely ignoring that Roxy and Buzz are dead. Ashley invites Jim to come along, and he turns it down. She kisses him, resulting in him changing his mind, and they all drive off. We then see Jeff walking out of the club, apparently still having been in there the entire time, and being threatened by the severed head of Jones. Jones then negotiates with Jeff that he could get him women, insinuating that Jeff is probably going to be Rennie's replacement. In a bonus, the film has a mid-credits female vampire-filled music video by the group's Swollen members, which I will link to at the end of this video. This is one of many movies from this time period that includes Monica Delane playing a half-naked, hot female monster or vampire. For more on her, check out my review of the movie Lost Boys: The Tribe. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late-night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.